Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Hezbollah blames Israel for Hariri's assassination. Landslides isolate Pakistan's Swat Valley. And environmental problems plague Iraq's marshes. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now. Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah will hold a press conference today. It has been reported that the Secretary General will reveal conclusive evidence implicating Israel in the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri.
The conference comes after Nasrallah revealed he was aware that the International Tribunal for Lebanon will likely render a decision in a few weeks implicating Hezbollah in Hariri's assassination.
Our correspondent Salam Khuder has gathered reactions from Beirut.
Today, I tell you that we accuse the Israeli enemy of the assassination of the martyred Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq al-Hariri on February 14, 2005. For the first time, I will release sensitive information gathered in the most exceptional operations in the history of the Islamic resistance in Lebanon, and I will unveil proof to that effect.
Hezbollah has a lot to talk about regarding the Special Tribunal for Lebanon. The party, through its Secretary General, said they have strong evidence that will help pave the way for a serious inquiry in the assassination of Hariri, an inquiry that will lead to implicating Israel directly in the assassination. According to Hezbollah and other political parties in Lebanon, the International Tribunal for Lebanon has deviated from its primary task, which is to pursue and arrest the perpetrators who plotted and carried out the February 14, 2005 bomb attack. The court cited political allegations without offering sufficient evidence to warrant an arrest in the case. What happened in this place nearly 5 years ago has divided the nation into two camps, the March 8 bloc and the March 14 alliance, with the latter accusing Syria of the assassination which led to the indictment of 4 top Lebanese security and army generals. 4 years later, the generals indicted in the case were released due to lack of evidence. 5 years later, Lebanese Member of Parliament Walid Jumblatt, then head of the anti-Syrian campaign, launched efforts to bring the case of Hariri's assassination under international jurisdiction through UN Resolution 1559. Jumblatt has recounted his previous accusation against Syria, saying that his decision was like an earthquake.
Our decision was based on a political implication. We found out that this political implication was built on nothing.
What could Hezbollah possibly have that may help overturn this case?
When the Secretary General of Hezbollah, or any other person, so to speak, brings conclusive evidence implicating certain groups, this serves as a test for anyone lobbying for the principles of justice and professionalism.
All are waiting for what the Secretary General of Hezbollah may have to say. Among them are Hariri's family and the March 14 alliance. Some believe that what has preceded Nasrallah's speech could be much different from what comes after it. Salam Khuder, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
So, what is the purpose of such surveillance? Why are they taking these images of these turns and of this route? And this is also very close to the coastline. We'll go to the last images which take pictures of the southern city of Sidon, and you will find that the camera is taking images of a general highway. It's not focusing on a base, it's focusing on a general highway. The images are before the Awali River, but in order for us not to waste time, it begins from Jiyeh and continues to the Awali and then goes into Sidon. It chooses its road until it reaches the surroundings of the house of Rafiq Hariri, and then other times it goes back and takes images of Shafiq Hariri, Rafiq Hariri's relative. And so they took images of the road towards the house. It didn't take pictures of any other road which leads to the base of the resistance or a base for the Palestinians or the house of any Lebanese resistance fighter. It's very clear that it's focusing on this very road which takes you to Sidon. Let's look together. The plane observed or monitors the highway between Beirut and Sidon. These images show the Jiyeh highway, and the aircraft is monitoring the traffic or the cars going. It continues. The Awali Bridge, and the surveillance plane then monitors the entrance of Saida and the traffic in that area. We see the coastal highway. And then the entrance of Sidon. We continue until the Nijmi Square. The Zatari Mosque. And here the Israeli surveillance plane reaches Nijmi Square. It continues to the Eliya roundabout. We can see that the Israeli surveillance plane is focusing on the road that leads to Shafiq Hariri, Hariri's brother. The Israeli surveillance plane then focused on Shafiq Hariri's house and the streets surrounding it. The reconnaissance planes monitor the house of Shafiq Hariri and the surrounding streets and the entrance to his house, and we can see how the Israelis are focusing on the car which is leaving the house. Okay, this concerns the technical side. We believe that these images, these films, we believe that all of this happening in different times and these images taken from different angles, and this cannot all be a coincidence.
As first witness, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu testified before an Israeli inquiry into the deadly attack on the Freedom Flotilla last May. 9 Turkish activists were killed in that attack. Before the hearing went into a closed-door session, Netanyahu said that Israel acted in accordance with international law and in order to counter threats facing its existence. Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak and Army Chief of Staff Gabi Ashkenazi will also testify before the 9-member panel, which includes 7 Israelis and 2 foreign observers who don't have the right to vote. The panel is headed by a retired Army general. Joining us directly from Jerusalem is our Dubai correspondent, Sharuk Assad. Sharuk, is the hearing still in session? What about the remaining Israeli officials? When are they expected to appear before the court?
Sahar, the court convened this morning in a place not far from here. It seems that Netanyahu tried to avoid answering some of the questions that were asked by the judges. Netanyahu said that he doesn't want to openly discuss sensitive issues. Today's session was not as important as the next sessions expected to take place tonight or in the coming days. Netanyahu is expected to talk more openly in the next sessions, which are expected to take place behind closed doors. He said he will not talk in open sessions because they violate Israel's national security and foreign policies. As you said earlier, Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak will testify tomorrow before the Turkle panel. Also, the Israeli Army Chief of Staff, Ashkenazi, is expected to appear before the court on Wednesday. To say the least, the panel is biased, and it doesn't have any power or privilege to question Israeli security or military commanders. Also, the judges don't have power to make recommendations, such as the removal of Israeli officials. Sahar, Netanyahu tried to defend Israel's raid on the Freedom Flotilla, saying its action was legal. He also tried to escape responsibility by throwing the ball into the court of the military institution, particularly his defense minister, Ehud Barak. Netanyahu said that Barak was the one who ordered the attack on the flotilla, adding that he was outside Israel at the time of the incident. Sharuk, is there any consultation between the Israeli-based panel and the International Investigation Committee?
لا يوجد تنسيق هي أصلا سحر هذه اللجنة الإسرائيلية تركل بالأساس.
There are no consultations between the two panels. Sahar, the Israeli panel was formed by Netanyahu and his government in order to diffuse international anger and pressure. Netanyahu tried to show that Israel is operating in accordance with international law. This is why Israel conducted the investigation.
وهذا ما قاله البارحة في جلسة الحكومة الإسرائيلية هو يتمنى بأن تكون هذه التوصيات أرضية كما قال.
Netanyahu said yesterday during a government session that he hopes that the panel's recommendation will be accepted by the international community and the UN tribunal and show that Israel is not guilty and that it made the right decisions. He is trying to preempt the international tribunal, which is expected to rule on the criminal ramifications of the decision that led to the Israeli attack on the Freedom Flotilla. The panel will also discuss the Gaza siege, which Netanyahu insists is not a siege. Netanyahu says it is the Gaza Sea and not the land that is being placed under siege. Of course, this is wrong.
Sharuk Assad, our correspondent from Jerusalem, thank you.
Heavy rain in northwestern Pakistan continues to isolate the Swat Valley region and prevent relief teams from helping millions of victims of the floods. Pakistani officials said that at least 25 dead bodies were recovered of people who died in landslides, and the transportation of relief materials by helicopters was halted. Meanwhile, warning sirens were set off in the south, where the authorities evacuated 500,000 people near the river Sindh.
So far, floods have killed 1,500 people, in addition to millions who were injured or had their homes destroyed. Pakistani government statistics indicate that 14 million people were victimized, while the UN reports 4 million.
We've lost everything. Please help us, God willing, help us.
But the worst is yet to come. Meteorologists expect more heavy rains to fall, which means further deterioration of the situation for the millions who are still staying out in the open or in tents that the relief teams have erected for them. Some of these people complained about the shortage of government aid, like in this village, Majuki, Fakarabad in northern Pakistan.
No one thinks about what happened, and no one wants to take the trouble to visit us. The president of Pakistan went to France, and he doesn't care about his people or about the hardships that the families and children are going through.
بدا واضحا إذن أن عدم تأجيل الرئيس الباكستاني.
The fact that the Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari did not reschedule his visits to France and Britain has enraged many people in the disaster areas of Pakistan. But the government says that it was exerting its best efforts, and 3,000 soldiers were dispatched to rebuild the bridges destroyed by the floods, transporting food and setting up shelters for the victims, especially in the northwestern parts of the country. This region is considered the major battleground in the war against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Wa'il Hajjar, BBC. Security officials announced that 43 were killed and 185 others were wounded in the triple blast in Basra last night. The blasts were caused by two booby-trapped vehicles and an explosive device. Iraqi security forces were heavily deployed in the city in case protests break out over the cutoff of electricity. In this context, the military forces fought two attempts to bomb power transmission pylons in Mosul and Babel. Meanwhile, unidentified armament blew up two high-voltage towers in Abu Ghraib, which caused them to collapse. The Ministry of Electricity attributed the reasons for the low-level electricity supply in Baghdad to the terrorist activities that targeted the power network. The ministry said that these terrorist acts disrupted the power network in Baghdad province, especially Khark area. This led to the increase of scheduled power cut-off hours to more than 20 hours a day. 7 people were killed and 29 others were injured in a car bombing in Ramadi city, Iraq. Iraqi police said that the explosion took place near a restaurant in a crowded area in Ramadi. After salt water seeped into Shatt al-Arab, causing plants to dry out and animals to die, a new danger is now threatening southern Basra. Farmlands are being bulldozed and turned into residential lands. These lands are sold with fake ownerships by Saudi, Kuwaiti, and Iraqi entrepreneurs.
هجوم خطير يتعرض له قضائي أبي الخصيب وشط العرب.
The regions of Abu al-Qasib and Shatt al-Arab are under a serious attack. Their orchards are bulldozed, their trees and crops uprooted, and their lands are sold as residential lands. This attack was carried out by a large group of opportunists who became wealthy after the 2003 war through a network of counterfeiters who sold Kuwaiti, Saudi, and Iraqi properties to agents in Iraq.
Properties were sold illegally, which resulted in sales being revoked. One of the lawyers who did this has been arrested.
The first implication is the change of the area into residential neighborhoods. Second, the population density is on the rise, so there are not enough schools, civil services, or electricity.
The government has taken no measures to confront these serious problems. The two regions are facing the threat of being geographically transformed from a green oasis into a barren land, and Iraq will lose a large part of its fruit and vegetable supplies, which are produced by these orchards.
It's worth mentioning that the people in Shatt al-Arab have begun to import vegetables, milk, eggs, and other supplies from other areas. They originally exported these products.
The farmer has no choice but to sell his land, because many people are tempted by the money offered to them. If the orchard is worth 200 million Iraqi dinars, they offer them 300 million or 350 million dinars.
Even more optimistic people expect the palm date trees to disappear in Basra during the next several years if the current situation continues. Wars, the high salinity of water, bulldozed farmlands, all these are deadly weapons threatening palm trees in Basra, which are still tenaciously clinging on to life.
الإسراع في تشكيل الحكومة.
Speeding up the formation of the government and reaching a consensus among the political blocs in order to achieve the desired results.
This was the call sent by imams and preachers in mosques to address the security incidents that Baghdad and other cities in Iraq have been witnessing.
The issue of speeding up the process of forming the government returned to mosque podiums during Friday prayers in the holy city of Karbala. The imam and preacher at the Husseiniya al-Muqtada Mosque urged politicians to start making concessions and lower their bloc's top demands on the negotiation table, which gathers all political parties in order to form the government. He said that the head of the government should be the one who puts the interests of the country above the interest of their blocs and parties.
To adjust the situation at this point is to transcend the disputes among these parties. I don't want to be emotional, but I say that the month of Ramadan is a very appropriate time for us to hear good news. It is a very appropriate time for the people who have been waiting for a long time to see officials, leaders, and political institutions take real steps in order to get out of this crisis. It won't be easy, but it is not impossible either.
Due to the terrorist attacks that the region of Atamiya has lately witnessed, the imam and preacher at Shahid Hassan Mosque in Basra urged the security institutions to professionally deal with the incidents. He also urged the residents of Atamiya to take responsibility for their country's national and moral duties by uncovering the corrupt and the terrorists.
Therefore, we call on all security institutions to act professionally, and the forces should assess sensitive areas, including Al-Azimiyya. And the people of Al-Azimiyya should also take responsibility for the security in a proper way and fully cooperate with the security institutions in order to really build our country a solid and united Iraq.
At the podium of the holy city of Najaf, the preacher began his speech with the Iraqi-Kuwaiti issue pertaining to marking the border between the two brotherly countries. The imam and preacher at the Alawiyya al-Mutahara Mosque confirmed that sitting at the negotiation table is the ideal solution in order to overcome the difficulties and resolve the disputes between the two neighbors.
Today, on this occasion, Kuwait demanded once again that the international border between Iraq and Kuwait be demarcated. This is not really a problem. The Iraqi government doesn't reject it, nor do the Iraqi people. On this occasion, we renew the spirit of love and friendship between the two nations and two countries, Kuwait and Iraq. Drawing the borderline or recognizing the international borderline is a real cause. There is no problem about it.
Other issues, such as providing the best services to the citizens, improving healthcare and education, and maintaining their security achievements, were presented during today's speeches. Haidar Shakur, Al-Arabiya.
20 years have passed since the invasion of Kuwait by the former Iraqi regime. Despite the 20 years that have passed, relations between the two countries are still fragile and uncertain. Our colleague Aysar Jabbar sheds light on these relations in the following report.
20 years have passed since the invasion of the state of Kuwait. The invasion has left a profound mark on the history of Iraq and the region as a whole. It has caused major political and security changes that are still unfolding today. Meanwhile, Baghdad is seeking to establish good relations with its neighbours and has offered to resolve all outstanding issues through diplomatic means.
We hope that the problems between Iraq and its neighbours will be resolved. We look forward to establishing good relations with our brothers. We must open a new chapter with our brothers and neighbours, whether at the state or regional level.
We are committed to establishing good and balanced relations with our neighbor Kuwait. Yes, there are outstanding issues that are straining our relations with Kuwait, but we hope to resolve them through joint diplomatic efforts. This will serve both countries' interests.
Despite the exchange of ambassadors and exchange of visits by top officials on both sides, the Kuwait-Iraq relations have witnessed setbacks due to international resolutions that were imposed on Iraq and due to both sides' rigid positions.
The current Iraqi government has failed to restore relations with foreign countries. It has failed to renew ties with Kuwait, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and others. At the foreign policy level, we must take more serious and practical steps to help improve our foreign relations with the outside world. With this, we can bring Iraq back to the arms of the Arab states and its regional orbit.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.